All right, these are the front uprights for the Smittybilt rack. I've got my ultra flat, it says on here somewhere, camouflage, which I don't know how it's camouflage, but it's just olive, like the rest of the Jeep. So we're gonna get these painted so that we can get them on. But I did notice that the upper bracket does not mount to the door hinge on the side. It mounts to the window hinge in the front. So I'll have to change that bolt. I hadn't opened the package until just a few minutes ago. So I'm gonna get these sprayed down. Hopefully I can get both sides with a coat on them. We'll let them dry for a little while, maybe hit them with another coat before we install them. All right, so I got this side all done. I'm gonna let it set for a while and then I'll turn it over and do the other side. I had to order 4 more cans. Hopefully I can finish with the can I have left. At least get enough of this covered that when I put it on the Jeep, I'll still be able to touch it up, spots that I might miss. But so we'll let this dry and then we'll come back and flip them over and do the other side. All right, so I flipped them over. I've got a few coats on this side and we're gonna let that dry and then we'll go ahead and install them on the front of the Jeep. All right, so here are the instructions for the Smittybilt rack. You have to read them. They cover a lot of different years, YJ, CJs, or not CJs, but YJs, TJs. But the information is really written for a TJ. It says that in small print across the top. So I was looking at the pictures online. So I had left these open because that's where I thought they had gone. The upper bracket goes, but that's not. They go on the front side, so I need to move these 2 front ones over and get these lined up. They also talk about on the lower one that there's supposed to be a plate back there. Oops, here's me dropping it. But of course on the YJ there's no plate, there's just this goop. So I got to get the goop out of the way. Once I do that, I'm gonna go ahead and slide my door back on. So that when I loosen this plate up and take the bolts out, it stays in a line. That way it'll be easy to take back off. I am going to clean up the studs. I'm going to find me a piece of emery cloth and clean those up so they slide in and out a lot easier. That way I don't have to fuck around with it. But I did paint the bar. Here it is. This is the passenger side. So first thing I'm gonna do is I'm going to put the 2 bolts in here on the side, get the goop off of the bottom of this, and then put the door on so we can set it up. Also the hardware kit, it comes with new bolts but not nuts for this. But I'm gonna I was short a nut anyway. Yeah, jokes. I was going to be a shorter nut anyway here at the top. I'm just going to use some that came in the kit and I'll just replace it later when I get to the point where I'll need it, which will be somewhere along the top, I think. I'm not exactly sure where the uppers go. I'll figure it out as we go along. But basically I'm going to build mine front to back. So I'll install the front bar. We'll put the windshield or get the dash back in once these are done. We'll put the windshield up, secure all of that. We'll get rid of all the soft top stuff. We'll swap tops, and then I'll build the bar backwards. So I just need to get these in so I can finish the dash. So that's why I'm doing it this way. The instructions they're nice pictures, I guess, and it gives you a list of hardware. But yeah, it's kind of a puzzle. Figure it out yourself. All right, so I swapped the bolts from the front to the side. I have the lowers out. I put my door back on to keep the hinges aligned because the holes that are in that aren't tapered like the door hole, so we want to keep this plate straight so it'll make the door going on easier. I would open the door, but if I do, it'll knock everything out of alignment. Once I get the bar up in place and I get these bottom in, I'll show you what I did. And this is where we need our baggie of hardware. Oh look, I'm laying it on my brand new windshield. Let's hope I don't crack it. All right, so let me grab this bar and we'll get it sort of fitted. All right, so I got the bottom two in and kind of snug down. I've got this one up here at the top. You know, these bolts aren't nearly as long as they should be, at least not in my opinion. Because in the photographs it says you're supposed to use a washer on each side. If I do that, then they don't really fit. So I'm definitely putting the washer on the outside, because on the outside the hole is oblonged, so you want to have the washer in there. So those are snug. The door still swings like it did. I'm gonna see if I can take it off. But what I did, as you can see, there's a whole bunch of burnt stuff. I just burned until I could get to the bolts. Then I heated the bolt thread up and backed the bolt out of there. There is a plate on the lower plate on my YJ that is bolted. The uppers are not. So plate with threads, no plate with threads. You have to use nuts. So I am still one nut short on the top. So what I'm doing is using the ones that came with the hardware. They have they're nut locked, so that way they won't back out. So I just need to put the lower one in, and then we'll tighten this side all up, and then we'll just make sure the door comes off nice and easy. Actually, I could leave it on at this point, because I can still get the dash on, and then we'll go around on the other side and do the same thing. All right, so on that side I went ahead and was able to get to the back where the foam glue was and easily get it. Here we've got some wiring and a bunch of shit, so all I'm going to do on this side is heat these up until they're pretty hot, and then try to start backing them off. It's been my experience, if you don't do something to get rid of that foam, you'll have a hell of a time or strip these out. So that's why I use the heat. So I'm just going to do heat right in the middle of these, get them good and hot, and then back them out. Hopefully that works without having to get into that wiring. Nothing's ever easy. Okay, so use the heat, got these out. They came out easy. I did have to heat them up 2 or 3 times until they were soft enough to turn without stripping. I took the front bolts out, but I tightened these in on the side before that. That way this bracket wouldn't move. But this door was kind of a challenge getting back on. It did not want to go back on. And it was like the strike plate, like the upper part of the door was too far forward. So I'm not sure, but now it seems to work. So I have this bottom one, the bolts are out, and we have our bag here. So we're going to go ahead and install the driver's side. Same way, we're going to use the new hardware for the front and these hinges. And this still has the capture plate on the back side. It hasn't moved. So let's get on that. All right, nothing's ever easy. So I got the 2 uppers and I'm trying to get these 2 lower ones, and for some reason it's like the bolt is not long enough to reach. I've tried a bunch of different things. I went inside to get the bolt. There was a couple longer ones. I was going to use one of those to see if I could grab onto the backing plate. Maybe the backing plate was farther away or something, I don't know. But in the meantime, my buddy called, who is in the process of moving here from California to Missouri, and we're trying to schedule a date when we can meet up and have lunch before his final push to get out of here. He's been flying back and forth, so it looks like we're going to try to meet up in July when he comes back out for one more load. Issues after issues. All right, so I'm going to take one of these longer bolts, thread into that plate, hopefully, and then hopefully pull it tight, and then be able to stick one of them in, one of the other ones in, and get it started, and then maybe that will be enough to get everything lined up. I'm hoping. If not, I may have to buy a longer bolt to fit in there to line everything up. who knows? All right, let me get on this, but I can see the holes. They're lined up sort of, especially if I put this bracket where it's supposed to, or the hinge where it's supposed to be. It should line up pretty good. Well, a minute ago, there you go. You can sort of see in there. So it is sort of lined up. I did have to loosen these two back up and get this hinge to slide back so the door is actually sitting where it's supposed to be now. Because before I had tightened these, but the hinge wasn't tight, or the front part, so it was sitting forward, pulling the back edge of the door. So things were crooked. I had to realign everything. All right, so let's see if we can get in here and get that bolt, get that started somehow. Okay, so this is exactly the problem. The plate, I don't know if you can see that, but with the bolt in there, when I try to put this long bolt in, that plate is actually moving. It's pushing away from the bolt. So that's what the problem is. That's why I figured those bolts were too short. So what I'm gonna do is gonna get this lined up like that. I'm gonna get the hinge where it's supposed to be. I'm gonna reach over the door here and hopefully push this from the back side to line up. And once I get this started, then I should be able to hold it while I'm doing the other one, and then I should be able to figure this out, I hope. It's been a day. Okay, so that actually worked. I was able to put the long bolt in and pull it. I could feel the plate moving around on the back side once I got it started. I was able to get this bottom one in. I tightened it down a little bit, and then I was able to get the other one in. So those did work. Now I just need to adjust this upper one, make sure everything is golden. The hinge bracket is back in line where the mark was. So we are going to go ahead and tighten this down a little bit. We'll make sure the door opens and closes and comes off smoothly before I finish my final adjustment on this. But then I can pop the steering column out. We'll lay the windshield back down, and we'll get the dash out here and get it reinstalled. All right, so bolts are tight. These are tight. I'm going to double check these and make sure I retighten those because I might have forgotten. Granted, the best way to do this would be to leave these loose and go ahead and run the outside cage, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to hope that as I build this thing out, that I have enough flex to make it work without having to come back in here and loosen any of this shit up. Because once I put the dash in, these upper two bolts are going to be a pain in the ass to reach. Can be done, especially since there's no speakers in my dash, but you got to reach around all this to get to it. So easier to do with it out, like I said, but I want to start putting this thing back together. I want to get that hard top off of that one. So I'm going to lay the windshield down, put the dash back in, then I'm going to bolt the windshield back down like it's supposed to be, and then it'd be, other than taking the soft top stuff off, which I was hoping to get to today, but I may not, I don't know, because I do have to do a little bit of cleaning because I'm going to have to flip this seat up so that I have a space to walk that top over. We'll see. I do have to take all these screws out of here to do the swap, so we'll just see what I get done. So I want to get the dash back in, then I can start putting things back together. So I'm pretty sure that's where we're at. So we're gonna lay the windshield down. I'm gonna go get the dash panel out of the house, pop the steering wheel back off. It should be loose. That way that dash panel goes on. I still need to make sure this door comes off easy, and we're going to do that, and then we'll get on the panel. All right, so I got the dash out. It would be easier to put the glove box back in with the dash out like this, and I believe that's the screws. I'm not 100% sure. Because I don't remember what the hell they look like. It's been so long. Now, I did buy a complete set of dash screws for the dash pad, and I think it's in this box back here. So I'm going to look through this box and see what all screws. Can't remember if it's for just the plastic bezels or if it's for the dash pad as well. But I should have enough screws to put everything back now that I have that bag of screws. I bought it used off of eBay. Somebody had however many screws it was, like 20-30 bucks. But this way I just had all the right looking hardware. All right, I have been looking and looking for another bag of screws. So this is the bag of screws I bought off of eBay. That's all of the bezel screws and whatnot. But there should be a baggie that has the screws for the glove compartment door, because they take a 5/16 kind of nut driver head. I looked in the ashtray where I was storing stuff, and that's not them. I've looked through all these bags, so I picked it up and I set it someplace or in something so I wouldn't lose it, and now I've misplaced it because I've gone through every single bag. I picked up everything and checked the floor, so I know I didn't dump them on the floor. I just can't remember what I set them in, so that's kind of a pain. But I should be able to line up the glove box without them. I'll just get the 2 screws or the 4 screws on the back side tightened up. As long as these holes line up to the holes behind it, we should be good. And then I can put the screws in when I find them. But that's what's holding me up putting the dash back in, because I've been looking for that. So I guess I'll go ahead. I do have these. I wonder if any of these are big enough to fit in those holes. Maybe. Yeah, like I said, I know I put them in something. I just can't remember what I put them in. And I've checked all the places I would have stored them. I then checked in the house where I had the dash and everything stored. Yeah, I don't know. Because the dash screws are in that bag over there. So I wouldn't have carried them too far, but that's what happens after you work on a project, stop for a while and do something else and then come back. Things walk off even though you're sure you set them someplace. All right, so let me see if I can get this lined up so I can tighten that glove compartment box down and put this thing back in here. Okay, so I found it. There's the registration. That's the glove compartment latch. It was in that bag over there. I guess when it rained, I stuck all the bags together and put them away so they wouldn't get water in them. But yeah, this is all the glove compartment screws. Shit, that was an hour of my life, going from the Jeep to the garage and back to the Jeep, dug out the box, went through all those bags, picked everything up off the floor of the Jeep, looked underneath. And the only bolts that are laying here are shit that I'm not going to be reusing. So yeah, don't ask me. But now I found them and I can get this thing back in there. Yippee. Okay, so I put the 3 screws that I had that I know that I took out because I knew that we were short one in. I have tightened down the 4 in the back. That way it should be in the right spot. Now we can go ahead and put this back in and get that. And like I said, we have all the other dash screws plus that bag of dash screws. So we should have 100% now, minus the 1 because that wasn't part of the dash. But, so, all right, let's get the dash back in. Okay, all the dash bolts are back in. Glove compartment has its 3 screws. So we're gonna call that quits for now, and then tomorrow I will come out and put the gauges back in, put the dash pad back in. That way we can put the windshield up and secure it to
these guys, and then we'll go ahead and start taking apart the soft top stuff and get ready to switch over. I'll have to clean up all this. I do need to still take off this trim piece that goes across the front for the soft top, because they'll need to go on the other one. But so that shouldn't be too bad. And I think, yeah, we're moving along, making progress. All right, so that's where we're at. So bars are on, dash is in. That took a lot longer than it should have. Hunting hardware really sucks. So at least I knew I didn't walk too far. So, all right, well, thanks for watching, and tomorrow we'll hopefully make quicker work of all these projects. We'll have the dash back together relatively quickly. It's actually shouldn't be that hard to put back together. And then we got 4 bolts, 2 on each side for the roll bar, 1 bolt here, which I know is right, one of them's right here, and the other one should be on the floor on that side. At least that's where it's supposed to be. So yeah, we're moving finally. All right, thanks for watching.